What's up, everyone? Coach Edwards here with our new show portion of Network Nation, our podcast we have called Coach's Corner that we're going to start bringing to you with coaches. Today I have with our Network Nation, Coach's Corner, Coach Tail, she's coached as well, basketball for young female athletes, and also Coach Donald. Coach Donald, one of our coaches with sports performance as well. Now, here's the thing. Coach Tail also does our social media as far as in the background doing things that you're starting to see today. What we wanted to do is go over something that we've all coached together, and that's young female athlete development. Like I said, me and Coach Tail, if you listen to the podcast, listen to both of coaches, gives you their background, what they've done. Both are former college athletes as part of our organization. And as you probably know, this is also my daughter, right? So if you did, now you know you're going to find out in the podcast, right? But here's the thing. We're going to go over from also, we've coached middle school basketball. Check that podcast out. We talk about middle school basketball. But three of us working with a lot of young female athletes. Because I think this is important because we're working with young female athletes. There's things that sometimes overlooked that can help, especially you have young daughters and young coaches working with female athletes on how we can make them even better. So we're going to go over it right now. So guys, I wanted to go over it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about it a little bit. Things that we see, some things we've had fun with. I know we talked about in the podcast how we work with our basketball, middle school, junior high girls basketball program. We ran the 6th through 8th grade, 2 different teams and had success. But in that, we also done some strength and conditioning, some muscular or athletic development that deal with strength, speed, power, building confidence in how to move and how we screen athletes. So everybody, let's just go through it. We're going freelance. It's not done this scripted and we're reading a script. This is coming from, as I say, from the hip as we go. So let's do it. Go ahead, Coach. Coach is kind of froze over here, but I'm going to get her out. She's loosening it up. She's usually behind the scenes. So one thing I know is that a lot of people think, I'm going to touch base on a couple areas. Speed development, the ACO concern with young female athletes. If you don't, it is. We've screened. How many young athletes have we screened? We dealt with the volleyball team at the high school level. We've screened, I'm going to tell you right now, well over 30 girls on the team. Oh my gosh, it's been over 100. If I look at middle school and all, we've done a lot of testing looking at something dealing with the ACO, injury prevention component. I've been going through training and certifications in that area as well. But what I wanted to touch base on these different areas, one thing I wanted to start off with is that a lot of people say, well, young female athletes, young ladies should not strength train. What do you guys have to say to that?
Yeah.
There you go, Coach.
I definitely think that young girls especially definitely need to work on weight training. At a younger age, definitely don't go too heavy because, of course, we don't want to hurt them at a young age. But even lightweight work for younger girls, I think, is definitely a plus. Girls are very competitive. I know a lot of people think that they aren't, but a lot of girls will say, you know what, if he can put up 20 pounds, I can put up 30. So I think that if your kid can weight train at that young of an age, that as long as it's lightweight, then it is okay.
Right, and one thing we go through with our process is remember this, is there's the training age, like Coach said. If you're dealing with a child at training age, we find a maturity level right around 6th grade. And when they talk about weight training, remember body weight, right? We want to start them to move through space and learn how to move before we load. And load is light load. Because remember, they're not at that pubescent age. They're still developing. The hormonal levels aren't there, but we're ingraining the patterns. And a lot of people say, well, my daughter's going to get big and bulky. And I said, no, they don't. If we talk about success leaves clues, I want everybody to do something. Look at any organization, look up the research. It's wrong, it's false. I have some stuff coming out on that as well with young female athlete development. It's very important that at a young age, we start to develop those too, because this is where injuries can occur. And I know we've had we've had a softball player that is in, I think she's sixth grade, that was coming 2 hours to work with us. And what is some of the stuff we would see with her? Remember, Coach?
Yeah. First off, she didn't really have too much trunk control. The way she was landing, absorbing force, it was all on her knees. So those are all things we look out for when we screen them. So just looking at those things, it kind of gave us a baseline of where to start with her and what we need to help her, I wouldn't say perfect, but get better at. And even with speed school, we saw a lot of knee valgus and varus when they're landing and trying to push off. Balance was also an issue as well. But I'm happy you brought up the theory that a lot of girls feel like they'll get bulky if they strength train, but that's not the fact. That's not the facts at all, because honestly, you can give them a good workout plan where they're not getting bulky. They're seeing that neuromuscular change inside and not so much like physical bulkiness. So just those adaptations in the body, it just kind of helps them with any sport that they do or just overall life, honestly.
That's
So,
right. That's right. Coach hit it in life because we have athletes that go in pivotal. So we had the Fit Female Athlete Development Program that we had in middle school. And so this was open for all young ladies. It didn't, if they played a sport or not. We had some come out that were doing like martial arts, but it was, they wanted to learn how to move better. And they weren't going to play high school sports, right? Remember that? But what they wanted to do was the parents wanted to get them to be better movers, build some strength component, because we're building the body to be also an injury prevention component. But as we see too, it's not just injury prevention, we're building competence with things. Because if I'm playing a sport, as we saw with our basketball program, where we have the strength component to that, is their strength and conditioning, they played a lot better. And with young female athletes, we've seen athletes that are in a lot of travel sports that play specific year round. And a lot of them don't know how to manage force off the ground. Now, they might be good at their sport because they're doing this skill over and over. You need that. But if you parents out there that are dealing with a specific travel sport and you're leaving this out, you're leaving the boxes unchecked. Because when talent meets talent when they get older, and I have all these specific skills, and I leave these physical qualities out, guess who's going to win at the end because you neglected that? And that's why I want to do this podcast, because this can help get the skill development at the next level. Let's say we've seen in speed school where we go through our plyo series, teaching them we call rudimentary, those baseline movements such as pogo hops, teaching them how to do snap downs and land and absorb force. We can have some training aids with the travel sport that they might have been doing for 5 years. And we have them do something simple as that. And guess what? They can't do it, right? They're collapsing at the trunk. They have no strength, but they're good at the skill. But what happens when a kid that might learn this and they catch the skill too when they get older? Who's going to win that battle? And what we want to do with what we do is we want these young ladies that when they get to high school, granted if they're 6th grade, this is a long-term development model. We want them to reach their peak going to college if they want to go, that these skilled things, we didn't leave a box unchecked. And what we're parents are starting to find out is like, wait a minute, right? Yeah. Wow, this my daughter needs. And I can say it because I have daughters that have played sports, that have played at the college level. So it's not me just speaking here as a coach. I'm talking to you as a parent of daughters and have coached young ladies for, I won't say how many years, but it's been a long time, and I've seen success with it. So I won't get long-winded. It's getting back to coaches here. What are some other things we've seen? I know speed school we've seen a lot because we had a lot of young ladies come out.
Yeah. I definitely would say that all of our workouts and all of our training that we do, especially with the girls that we've seen that haven't played sports before they came with us, right? Even if they're not wanting to do an actual sport, but just want to be athletic, like running up and down the turf that we have, you can definitely see confidence level, right? So one thing that girls or women struggle with is confidence, especially nowadays with, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, AI, yeah, it's all giving you these models and these figures that not necessarily every woman is supposed to look like. And I feel like just getting your kid to come out and do athletics and to do sports, even just running, builds so much confidence in yourself. Now, we all know that everyone's not perfect, so just, cheering them on, letting them know how to get better, what they're doing that's great. Even though they may not be the best at it, just that small improvement is something that can bring their confidence level way over the roof and help them in the future as well too. Especially like we said, high school, college, once you get to that stage in life, you need that confidence, and sports can definitely give that to you in the background. So I think that's another plus of, something that athletics can do that not necessarily makes you look good, but it makes you feel good as well.
Not just confidence too, just camaraderie, meeting people. We've all been athletes, so I think it's almost easier as an athlete to make new friends because you're going through the same things with other people, And that's what we saw with Speed School as well. Some of the girls, they're telling other girls on their team, like, oh, come in, this is really fun. You're getting better as well. And it's just time that they can spend with each other. So I think that's huge, especially with that age group. So
that's good points both of you made. And this add on to Speed School is that with the consistency, we saw some of the young ladies that would come out, we could see them get better. One young lady, she went out for a sport, she made her team. Her confidence got better. Not only did she make the team, now she's looking at, I can not only play this sport, I can play this. Yeah. And we even in the middle school with basketball, we had a parent come crying to us, a grandparent, on how this changed the perspective of this young lady's life. She cried, remember that?
Yeah.
We went to the assembly to see it, and this lady, we never knew, never met her before. And she's coming like, my granddaughter, like, wait a minute, you know, oh, who are you? Yeah. You know, thank you is her life. People didn't know the trials and tribulations this child went through from a physical perspective, but she was in a play and had never been in a play before, was more of an introvert. People used to tease her and everything, but with persistence and determination, she made it through the season. She became more involved, and just being part of a team, this helped her to evolve and develop. To her grandmother was coming out of Texas, remember? Flew into town and knew us as coaches. So I'm not tooting our horn saying we know everything. No, we don't. But if you're listening out there, just don't think, when we talk about athlete development, this is what everybody means by that holistic approach. You got to look at the individual, because every athlete, every child is important. And if you're coaching, I know I'm not going to filter anything on this, and you're not having a passion to make a different child, don't watch us anymore. Because that's what this is about. If you want something and you want to learn how to get your child better, to get at anything, then you need to tune in to Coach's Corner, into our podcast, because that's what we're all about. So coaches, before I get off on another tangent, let's get back to some things with young ladies. Now, I got to add this in. Parents sometimes, and this is funny, right? They come out and they don't think, we had a mom, remember? We had a mom that said, well, you know, yeah, I think this will help some. But after they saw the change in their child, remember, she was like, wow, I believe now. And they can see now with developing these physical qualities that I'm talking about, mobility, flexibility, body awareness, control, coordination. We start telling them with strength, speed, power, that is at the baseline level. When they develop these things, they're starting to see that, wow, my child plays this sport a lot better. We got parents that come to us a lot and tell us this, and now they're starting to see, and hopefully you're learning today that every young female athlete we can take to the next level. Any coach, not just us, there's coaches around the world that we're all doing these things and have a passion and want to make a difference. You got coaches want to add into that?
Yeah, and I think you made a hard point on that as well too, is that I screwed up.
That's all right, though. We're on the show. It's live. Like, we brainstorming and everything here. That's okay. You know why?
Wait, I had a good thought, though.
No, she got a good thought. So let's go to this. It's a blooper within the show, right?
Yeah.
So let's get to it.
Oh, I know what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
So I do think that you made a good point there, is that, like you said, parents, not all parents believe that, you know, when they show up to our athletic or show up to our sports management, that, you know, what is it that my kid's doing? Yes, they're sitting over there doing squats. Well, they can do that squat at home. Oh, look, they're jumping over a hurdle. Well, I can do that on the playground. Why do they need to be here, right? When in reality, all kids, especially girls, a lot of them are flexible at a young age. And a lot of them already can, you know, run, or they already can jump. What the key is how to do it correctly. If they're starting at a young age, let's use a squat for example, their knees are going over their toes, their back is arched too much, they're leaning too forward. If they continue to do that throughout their entire life, now you're looking at problems that they're gonna have not only with their body, but in that athletic side of things too. When they're actually doing sports, now they're collapsing when they're, you know, getting a rebound, they're collapsing on the ground. So just those small movements, even when they're younger, just teaching them how to do things correctly definitely makes a big difference in their future.
So those bad habits.
Yeah, so then they kill all their bad habits, yeah.
Coach, you got anything?
Could you repeat what you said? She kind of threw me off.
See how this is live? This is what I like. Everybody like, well, you know, you got shows, everybody like, no, we're not cutting nothing. We keeping it real. There's no filters on this. The bloopers are rolled within, so keep tuning in. You might get some funny stuff. We might have somebody run through here. Right now is nobody, we got training stuff. We won't have to worry about that. But one thing I wanted to add into that too is that when we started looking at the development component, and building the confidence is that, like, we went to a high school and we done screening with a volleyball team, right? And then all the way to seniors. And so one thing we do is a drop landing test.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going all the way to, everybody listen up, okay? Seniors in high school, just dropping off of, we didn't even have a 12-inch box. We went even lower than that. And all they had to do was jump, just land and absorb force. You coaches and everyone out there that knows what that's looking for, we're looking at when they're dropping, we're looking for that valgus collapse. So they have good trunk control dynamically. And most of the athletes, I'm telling you, we've done a screen with a lot because I am certified in a lot of different areas as far as movement screening is concerned. A high percentage of these athletes did not have good control eccentrically or isometrically with that land. Valgus knee collapse, no trunk control, but then they're playing volleyball. Now parents, think of this. Your child is jumping to spike a ball and they have to land. And they can't absorb that force. They can't get that rigidity to land and then do what? Produce force. That's a problem. In high school, I've seen on a team where there's been 2 or 3 ACL tears, and I have to get on this podium to preach this a little bit. If it was a situation that you went into high school, and everybody forgive me for this, is not cruel, but I got to be real legit with this. And I came and I told you, at our school, we had 3 kids that were in major accidents from someone drunk driving. Would that be an issue? It would, wouldn't it? But on a team where there's been 3 ACL tears, I've seen coaches not be concerned. Shouldn't that be a concern? Especially when we look at a high percentage of ACL injuries are non-contact related. It can be not necessarily 100% preventable, but you can help to prevent it. That's why we're sitting here with this organization. Your young female athlete, when done appropriately, can cut down on those injuries. It's nothing worse than have something that can create a chronic condition. An ACL tear long-term can get arthritic, osteoarthritis, knee replacements. You ask any orthopedic surgeon or doctor in sports medicine that when there's a damage to or injury that can occur, can it affect them long-term? Yeah, it can. So what we want to do, what we do is we look at movement and how we can get it better. So for young female athletes, we look at everything there. And I think it's important, just like we said, that not only helping with them from a physical perspective, but from a mental perspective. Because if I don't feel confident with who I am, what's that going to do for me in the future?
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
And so we're seeing it. And if anything, you build confidence with movement, you can build confidence in the individual. Because I remember a young lady didn't know how to skip. And I remember a family member, this teacher, they were talking about a kid in gym class. She didn't want to participate. And they were like, well, why not? What's wrong with her? She's something wrong. No, it wasn't wrong with her. Everybody, she doesn't know how to skip, so she's embarrassed to skip. But see, physical literacy is missing in school, right? As far as we've seen on a global scale, the movement with physical literacy, because things in my generation that were there are not. So we get excited because with female athlete development, there's a lot of things that can be improved. Would you agree, coaches?
Yep.
Did I leave out anything, Coach? I see you got something now.
No, I'm just happy you said what you said, because not just with the younger volleyball girls, I've also seen it playing at the college level. One year we probably had, I want to say 5 to 6 ACL tears in that one season, and everything that we do, I feel like it's purposeful, and I feel like there's a rhyme behind our reason.
Right.
So just looking at those things deeply at an injury prevention level, I feel like that's huge, because a lot of these other people, they're just doing it to chase numbers like we talked about before, and just not really have a reason why you're doing it. Oh, it looks good. Oh, other people are doing this, but you can get people hurt doing that and not knowing why you're actually doing things. So I like how we get super deep in the injury prevention aspect of things as well.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
Our coaches, you seeing them getting in here a little bit, everybody. Look, and that's right. See, and one of the things is that I got to add into that is it's when we deal with, just like with running, and everybody wants to run on the acceleration or maximum velocity, but think of building a plane with no brakes. So what we do is, in the beginning, you got to learn how to absorb force first before you can produce it, right? Mm-hmm. And so teaching kids how to decelerate with running as well, and where their postural positions should be. We have something called the pit crew assessment for athletes, where you parents and your coaches, we have a printable They go to our site now. Go to our site. Go to the dynetwork.com. We got it for you. If you go to our site, we can get it to you. Go in and email us there. But what it teaches you is what you should be doing in your own movement screening athlete. Where should their pelvis be with movement? Where should their postural alignment be? We call spine mechanics. Looking at their feet. Remember the one young athlete we had to play basketball? We had it is that we identified it in a practice. Knowing parents were, it's like we could look at her foot positioning, that she had a highly pronated arch and a lot of pain she was in. And we said, hey, listen, we got to screen this here. You need to see a doctor. Doctor appreciated it, and guess what? Remember, he pulled her out of playing, remember?
Yep.
We even had, remember our rehab. So we had, if athletes came back, if they were injured, we had a section that they would go through prep. And just like you would deal with post-rehab with physical therapy, we have that implemented into the programs as well, though, even when we coach.
Yeah.
And remember remember the injury?
Yeah, and it helped a lot. And I will say, coaches out there, if you do where you have some of your athletes not practice for that day for an injury, or you let them sit on the side for 30 minutes during a run, or you don't have them doing harder workouts to make sure that they're getting better, some of the girls will use it to their advantage, and they'll act like their ankles are hurting, or they'll act like their knees are hurting for that day. So just make sure that you're communicating with them, talking with them. A lot of good things about being a coach is knowing your athletes. That's a big one, because if not, you can have some that slack off and you're just going to allow them to do it. But if you really care about them, then you'll know the issues that they're actually going through and how you can help them, get that better for the future as well too.
Yeah, and to add into that, I know this too, is that with coaches is important too, is we build, you got to build relationships.
Yeah.
So it's not just about the how they perform, but it's going and communicating. Great job. How was school today? Mm-hmm. Building that rapport with them, because what we found is that once you build a relationship with athletes, and this is male or female, but with young ladies, and I've dealt with males, so no offense, guys, but young ladies even are better. They communicate. When we started to troubleshoot on things that we see, and I'm talking from coaching a sport that is specific that we've done, that have done this for a long time with basketball and track and travel teams have done it. Also from a performance perspective, when we build those relationships, we have with the basketball program, we would have open discussions with the ladies. And remember coming and telling us, it's like just us allowing to have their voice be respected and heard meant a lot. And even in sports performance training, looking and do you understand our 3 W's of what, when, and why, right? We just don't go out there and have you do it. What you're doing, why you should be doing it, and when you should be doing it. Yep. We need, and parents too, we want to educate. We just don't want your kids going through a process. Everything is an educational piece that we've been fortunate enough to have success with over the years, right?
Did you want to add anything?
No, that sounded great.
That sounded great. See how we ended out? We don't have to filter that everywhere. Our producers we still want to have producers. We do this our own way. Over there we got everything hanging on a string. It's kind of bootleg. No, it's not bootleg. We got it going right. So we're going to end it with that. We're about to head out of here because it's been a long day. Tune in to our episodes coming. Like I said, Coach's Corner. We're going to have different coaches and nothing's going to be filtered. It's just going to go raw. There might be some bloopers. It is what it is, right? And do this if you haven't. Get our 7 exercises to improve athleticism in any athlete. Get it in the link below. Don't be shy. If you're in your car, go to our website at thedynetwork.com. If you're on YouTube seeing this, it's the link down there. You listen this long, hit that button. Get that right now. Make your young lady the best athlete that she can be. Coaches, parents, until next time, we're out. Coach Tail, Coach Donald, we're gone. Take care.